In this video, we're going to talk about a new concept in version 11 called abstract CSS class names. So what you see here is a very simple grid on the customer table rendered using one of the new styles in version 11. And if we go to the design view and go to properties, you'll see here that there's a checkbox here called resolve abstract class names. So what I'm going to do now is run this grid in Firefox, so we can actually examine the class names of each element in the grid. So if we go to Firefox and click on this examine icon over there, and then just click, for example, on any single element, we can see that the class name for an input right now is grblue edit. So grblue is the name of our style, and then edit is the class name. If we were to go and, for example, put our pointer over a TD, we see that the control itself is contained in a class called grblue and then grid data, for example. So these are the real physical class names. These CSS selectors exist in the style sheet that we're actually using. So now we're going to go back to the grid and we're going to turn off resolve abstract class names, and now when we render the grid, it's going to look really bad because none of the CSS is actually being used. So we get here a completely generic looking grid. But what's important about this is that if we go and examine an individual element right now, we get to see what the unresolved abstract class name is that the grid is using. So for example, you can see there that the abstract class name is class.GridPartInput. If we were to point here to, say, a drop down, we can see the abstract class is called class.GridSelect. So knowing what the abstract class name is, we can now go back to Alpha 5 and if we want, we can override that abstract class name with our own CSS class name. So you can see here that if we go now to the class map, basically this allows us to override any of the entries in the class map. So if I click here and say show the default class map, what we see is how each abstract class name is mapped to a physical class name. So we were looking at selects and edit controls, and if we look carefully here, so we can see, for example, that a grid part input maps to grid data. So if we go back here, for example, we can see here that this input control has an abstract class of grid part input, and when we go over here and grid part input maps to the physical class name of grid.styleEdit. But we can now go and override any one of those class names. So let's go here and type in, say, select. So what we're trying to do is override the style that is being used in the drop-down list. So let's go there, click on that, and see that the style used for the drop-down is class.GridSelect. So we'll go back here now and class.GridSelect over there. We'll click that and we'll just say this new select class. So now we've basically defined a CSS class name called new select class, and now we're going to go and make a local CSS definition that defines that class name. So we'll go here and then we'll go to properties and we'll go down to local CSS over here. So this is our local CSS definition, and we'll add a definition for that class name. So you can see here that we've added a definition. We're going to use red for that class. So we'll go click OK now and then save it, and then we'll go back now and we'll turn resolve abstract class names on, and then let's pause now and pick it up in the next video.